man? It's your boy Jay, bring back another reaction video, man. Before we get into the video, if y'all haven't, make sure y'all hit that sub button, that like button, and turn on notification bells, man. But we finna be reacting to Pop Smoke, the Hoovers meet the Woo. Now I came across this video, it's 4 months old. It looked interesting, so I was just like, why not react to it? So let's get into the video, bro.
Wolves a lot. Wolves.
RP Pop Smoke, man.
Secret society.
I can't say no better than that.
That's it.
I heard they caught the people that killed him too.
Three men are behind bars in the murder of rapper Pop Smoke. They're also linked to the September murder of 18-year-old Cameron Stone at the Rose Bowl parking lot.
The up-and-coming rapper ambushed in a posh Hollywood Hills home early Wednesday morning. The 911 call came from someone on the East Coast who had apparently been told what happened.
What they saying happened? He posted an address or this or
Yeah,
that.
he had his location. He posted his location.
That's where everybody get robbed at. That's where everybody get jacked at. That's where the home invasion is going on at. You know, they looking for rappers.
Facts.
They gonna get you, dog. They about their business out there.
All right, we gotta talk about the Pop Smoke situation. There was a lot of theories floating around about what exactly happened. People thought it was some GVs from Brooklyn who traveled all the way down to LA, went to Mount Olympus, where Pop Smoke was staying at, and shot him in the escalation of the Wu versus Cho war that's going on in Brooklyn and elsewhere in New York City. Some people said it was an inside job set up by his best friend or his manager. People were running with this story that the owner of the Wraith that
Can't
Pop
trust
Smoke
nobody,
allegedly
bro.
took out of state
I hope it
without
wasn't
permission,
his
that the
close
owner
friend that
ordered
did
a
that,
hit
or that
on
set
Pop
it up.
Smoke as retaliation. All of this is nonsense. None of this is
Yeah.
true. The people who killed Pop Smoke were Hoover criminals, and they're from the notorious Hoover Street in South Central LA. Hoover criminals are the most hated gang in LA by far.
I bet
And that's
they
no
is.
disrespect. They would probably admit that themselves. They got a lot of enemies.
sure.
But little by little, detectives started to piece together the clues linking these Hoover kids to a bunch of other shit, including murder and home robberies in the Hollywood Hills and north of Pasadena. And one of the dudes who filmed himself in LAPD custody getting arrested for Pop Smoke's homicide was literally
What was the
giving
point of him
himself
recording
away on
himself in
Instagram.
jail?
But it goes even deeper than this. We know that Gucci Mane recently signed Pop Smoke's direct ops from New York to his label 1017.
We not can meet at this taco. And if you get money, then why you condoning the same shit that got Pop Smoke? And I just find it funny.
War in between the Woos
That was
and the Chos
disrespectful.
has been escalated. Now we're
Very.
gonna get into all this, but before we do, check out my song of the day. This is my guy Oreo J.
Very
Let's go.
disrespectful.
Alright, in order and is sandwiched in between a bunch of other hoods in South Central LA. And historically, the Hoovers began as a Crip faction in the 70s and 80s until this internal war broke out, and the Hoovers started breaking away from the Crip alliance. Now, they started beefing with Crip factions like the Rolling 60s, which is where Nipsey Hussle is from, the Rolling 40s, the
R.I.P.
Rolling
Nipsey.
30s, the 90s, the 100s, the 50s, etc. Now the Hoovers beef with both Bloods and Crips, and as a result, they become the most hated gang in LA since the late 90s, right? Everybody hates them. And in order to stand out, they gotta be super violent, they gotta be extra reckless, and they also adopted orange colors to distinguish themselves. They changed the C from Hoover Crips to Hoover Criminals, and one of, if not the only Hoover set that remained Crip is the 5 Deuce Hoover Crips that even exported outside of LA, and you'll see them in places like Dallas or Houston with Maxo Cream. Now, fast forward 6 months after Pop Smoke's death. There was no leads, no witnesses, people were not talking, and Corona was effing up the investigation. The police couldn't conduct any interviews.
Damn, been a while
and
since
jammed
Pop
their whole
Smoke
shit.
died.
Then all
It's
of a
almost a
sudden,
year.
a week ago, the LAPD
Oh,
announces
wait.
they
This
got
is 4
Pop
months
Smoke's
ago,
killers.
so
And one of
I don't
them,
know.
when he got arrested,
But
filmed
it's been a
himself in
minute.
the squad car in the interrogation room.
I don't know
He
what the point of him
posted
doing
all
that
through
was.
social media. People found his Instagram profile. He basically doxed himself and his co-defendants. That's what happens
He
when
basically
you put all
snitched
your
on
info
himself.
out there. People find your address, and if you check out his Instagram
Yeah.
bio, he's got all the O's crossed out. Since Hoovers beef with all the O's, like the Rolling 60s, 40s, 30s, 90s, 100s, etc., the Hoovers cross out O's in their language. That's how you know that person is Hoover. They also put K's next to B's and C's to signify blood and Crip killer. And since the Hoovers beef with almost all Crip factions, that includes all of the East Coast Crips. And Pop Smoke is an East Coast Crip from Brooklyn. Another obvious sign is this kid is wearing orange in a lot of his photos. And what's super interesting is when 6ix9ine came from New York to LA with Shotty and the 9 Trey Bloods, they paid for Hoover protection. They had a bunch of Hoover people with them. Now, what's interesting is we're learning that these Hoover kids who killed Pop Smoke had a history of being super active. In September of 2019, they got into a fight at the Rose Bowl and shot and killed a kid in a parking lot who was just trying to break up the fight, right? His name was Cameron.
Dang.
This is a kid who was going to real estate school. He had a promising future. Boom.
RP
They killed him.
dude.
2 months later, those same Hoover kids were in a brutal high-speed car crash that they survived after pressing
they
the gas
tripping.
to escape the LAPD.
They out
who
here
was chasing
wildin',
them
bro.
down on the highway for a string
Ain't
of
got no
home
chill.
robberies in the upscale homes northwest of Pasadena. Now, on the freeway in Glendale, the cops decided to call off this chase because the Hoover kids were just going too fast. But the kids crashed their vehicle into an off-ramp, totaled their car, and when the police got to the wreck and arrested them, they found a shit ton of stolen jewelry in the trunk. It was a classic case of flocking, or a home robbery in LA. You got celebrities like Alanis Morissette, who got $2 million worth of jewelry stolen from her
Yeah,
home.
they
You
be
got
hitting up
Nick
a lot of
Young, who
celebrities,
used to
or they
play
been
for the
planning
Lakers,
to
who
hit
got
up
the same
celebrities.
thing done to him. LAPD recently took down this burglary ring, and they had been doing high-profile robberies. They also found a paper with a bunch of addresses and floor layouts on it. Some of their next targets were LeBron James, Matt Damon, Rihanna, and of course the gang. What did they use? They used social media to monitor when celebrities were away from their homes. They ransacked this LA Rams player's mansion while he was playing a game against the Vikings, right? They wait for you to
That's
leave,
crazy.
they just infiltrate that shit. And these home robberies are a big source of
So they
revenue
really just
for a lot of
track
gangs in
down, like,
South
when they-
Central
whenever
LA.
they
You look at
leave,
the geography.
so they can
Just
know
to the west of
if they
all
home
the
or not
hoods in South
to
Central
hit up
LA,
their house.
it's the
That's-
rich beachfront properties of Santa Monica. To the north, it's the lavish homes in the Hollywood Hills. Fast forward to February of 2020, Pop Smoke rented a mansion in the Hollywood Hills, more specifically Mount Olympus. He's only a couple people deep, maybe him and his best friend. He was updating his Instagram, posting that he's in Beverly Hills. Then, on his story, he was opening a gift, a special delivery from Amiri. We know Amiri and Pop Smoke have a great relationship. And on the gift that they gave him had the address of the mansion he was staying in. And he's filming all this on his IG story. That was all the info they needed. The Hoover criminals were watching. They saw Pop Smoke was staying at 2033 Hercules Drive, a house
They was
owned by
probably
Teddy
planning to
Mellington.
do that
They
this
waited
whole
until
time, but
4
then
in
he
the
posted
morning,
his location,
thinking
who
Pop
made it
Smoke
even
would be
easier for them
asleep.
to,
It would be an
you know what I'm
easier
saying?
job. The mansion was about 20 minutes away from Hoover Street. 4 Hoover criminals got there, masked up. The security alarm in the house was deactivated. 2 of them went to the back door, and right on the inside of that door is a couch. Most likely that's where Pop Smoke was sitting or lying there, whatever. When the Hoovers got inside, they started tussling with him. Allegedly, he had a gun and let off a shot, shooting one of them, and that's when the other one let off 2 shots in his torso, and Pop Smoke let out and died. We do know that the shooters then fled on foot, right? Somebody
I mean,
in
he had
New
his
York
gun on him. He
called the
tried,
police.
but
That's how quick the news spread, and for 6 months,
Can't really
it looked
do
like the
nothing.
case was gonna go unsolved. But the LA
What was his friend at when this was
getting
happening?
video
That's what I
footage
wanna
from
wonder. What's his
civilians
friends
and
at?
businesses in the area, and they tracked the suspects
'Cause he-
all the
I
way
know he
back
had
to
people with
Hoover
him.
Street, where they arrested 5 people, 2 of which are still under the age of 17. Now that shit was tragic. Rest in peace to Pop Smoke, but we gotta talk about Brooklyn, cause the music is heating up. We know that Bobby Shmurda and
Yeah, it's
Rowdy,
going
they're
crazy.
coming back home hopefully December or earlier. They're GS9, which is woo. You know that Fabio is making waves, doing proud for Pop Smoke, except just like in Chicago, you can't mention Chief Keef without talking about Lil Jojo or FBG Duck. And it's the same in Brooklyn. On
Facts.
one side is the Woos, and on the other side is the Chos. Pop Smoke's direct rival just got signed to Gucci Mane, and this is a guy by the name of Coach the Ghost. Dope rapper. And it might surprise people to know that he is a gangster disciple from Brooklyn. And you might be thinking,
His
I thought
teeth
that shit was only in
bogus.
Chicago. See, the GD
Man, I seen that.
moved from Chicago up to New York in the late 80s, early 90s, and established GD sets mainly in like Flatbush, Brownsville, Bed-Stuy, and the Chos have a huge GD element to them. This shit warrants its own video because people need to know like the history and how things are moving right now, especially with Bobby and Rowdy coming home in December. That can make things very interesting. Let me know if you guys want a full video on that. Make sure
Hey,
you
that's
subscribe
crazy.
with
It's really a whole
notifications,
war out
and
there.
I'll see you in the next video.
It's like it is in Chicago. Yeah, bro, that's the end of this video, bro. RP Pop Smoke, man. It's just sad how that happened, bro. Like, I just wanted to know where his friends was at when this was, like, when that happened. Because I know he had people in the house with him. But, yeah, bro, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. This was interesting to find out, like, what went on during that home invasion. But, yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Make sure y'all like, comment, share, subscribe. And it's your boy Jake, and I'm out.
Let us in so we I kick the door.